Poland is still experiencing Russian hybrid warfare. Today, as a result of the attack on Kyiv, airports in Lublin and Rzeszów suspended flight operations in the morning to ensure the army's freedom of movement. What is the state of Poland's security? Poland, even if some people forget about it, is a frontline state. Last night, the Russians shelled Kyiv again. As a result of the massive attack, the Polish military scrambled its planes. A decision was also made to close the airports in Lublin and Rzeszów. Due to the need to ensure the freedom of action of military aviation, the airports in Rzeszów and Lublin suspended flight operations. After 8 a.m., air traffic was restored to normal. According to the military, Poland was not threatened by a Russian attack, and the actions of our army were preventative in nature, and, as we are informed, all procedures were to be activated. This time there was no threat, so we acted, as I said, preventatively. These actions were not strictly operational, so fortunately there was no threat. Even if there was no real threat this time, the Russians have repeatedly threatened our security with their attacks. In September, Polish airspace was attacked by drones. From time to time, TV Republika and the niezależne.pl portal report on Russian balloons flying into Polish airspace. One such case even took place during Christmas. Balloons also appeared in Poland this weekend. On Friday night, there were almost 50. More balloons appeared over Poland on Sunday, as reported by niezależne.pl, which had previously confirmed this information with the Podlasia branch of the Border Guard. However, the Border Guard headquarters initially denied this. On Sunday, no objects crossed the Polish border. To officially confirm everything on our channel the next day in an interview with our journalist. Indeed, during the last 24 hours of operations on Sunday night, meteorological balloons crossed the Polish border. Efforts are currently underway to identify the perpetrators of these flights. The estimated value of these flights is approximately 100,000 zloty. Such behavior by government agencies must be cause for concern, all the more so because Russia has been becoming increasingly bold in recent months. The public needs to know whether our security is at risk or not. The balloons flying into Poland from Belarus are part of the testing of our anti-aircraft system, as well as the behavior of the services in crisis situations. In such cases, the message from the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Administration should be clear and consistent. As determined by the niezależne.pl portal, the cigarettes secured in these balloons are produced by the Niemen factory, which is strongly associated with the Lukashenko regime. The Niemen factory is a state-owned cigarette factory in Grodno. It is one of the largest and oldest in the region. The Lukashenko regime describes it as a strategic enterprise. It has been visited many times by high-ranking Belarusian officials. Its dynamic activity is regularly highlighted by the administration and the regime's media. The factory is therefore also particularly important politically for Lukashenko's regime. The Polish president is concerned about the information chaos. President Karol Nawrocki has many reservations about the actions of the services, which were raised during last week's meeting with the heads of the services and coordinating ministers. The European Union Mercosur agreement has been signed, but farmers are not giving up. Today, they have come to Strasbourg, France, from all over Europe to fight for their farms. By signing this document, we have lost the battle, but not the war. Today, the battle is being fought in the Court of Justice. We hope that the members of the European Parliament will agree with us that von der Leyen's actions are unacceptable. The police used tear gas against peaceful protesters. Our reporter, who was covering the protest, and our cameraman were also sprayed with tear gas. These men are standing there in some kind of protective formation, and they are starting to throw tear gas at the participants. As you can see, it is empty in front of the European Parliament, and every now and then they throw some kind of gas. They throw some kind of firecracker. It is not clear what purpose this escalation serves. A large delegation of Polish farmers also appeared in front of the European Parliament building. They have travelled over 1,000 kilometres. We are protesting against the Mercosur agreement, and the fact that it was signed by one lady, Ursula von der Leyen, does not change anything. There are EU member states that are clearly opposed to it. The French are afraid, the Dutch are afraid, the Belgians are afraid, the Austrians are afraid, so that we can see that this is all going in a very bad direction. All these countries, all the delegations that have come here, all together, do not agree to the Mercosur agreement with the restrictions we have in Europe, with all these standards, and there is food from there that is outside all standards. There is one goal: to throw the Mercosur agreement in the trash. We support the entire European Union, all Poles from Europe, because we have one common goal: to get rid of Mercosur as soon as possible, so that it does not come into effect. The food produced in South American countries will dominate the European market, and farmers here will not be able to cope. They have already realized this and will take action, because, as the French and Poles have said, there will be more protests. In Europe, farmers are bound by quality restrictions in food production. This is why it is healthy. If the Mercosur agreement comes into force, cheap, over-fertilized food will flood into European countries, products that are sprayed with pesticides. If the same rules do not apply to everyone, we cannot expect to secure the future of our farms or guarantee that young people will stay in the region, take care of the land and, most importantly, build a future and maintain the profitability of their farms. European farmers are speaking plainly. The Mercosur agreement will kill their farms because it will no longer be profitable to produce food. European farmers will lose out to their South American counterparts. The message to the President of the European Commission is clear. So that she doesn't come up with such unfavorable ideas for Europe and agriculture. Support for farmers also comes from the Polish opposition. Farmers from all over Europe are saying von der Leyen must go. We are saying the same thing. We are here to support farmers because they are defending our security today. Farmers are coming from all over Europe because they are being played. Do you know what scares? I'll do that again. Farmers are coming from all over Europe because they are being played. Do you know what scares me? That the Polish government has negotiated only 2 products that are supposed to be protected under this agreement. In total, more than 340 products are protected under the agreement. In Poland, only 2, specifically 2 types of vodka. Unlike our country, 63 products are to be protected in France, 59 in Spain, and 57 in Italy. What does this mean? It means that, for example, counterfeit cheese, wine, salami, and olive oil will not enter Italy, and vodka will not enter Poland. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Does a farmer have to travel 1,500 kilometers to protest against a violation of the basic elements of the EU treaties? They do what they want. We have no influence on MEPs. We have no influence on the government. Farmers in Poland are also standing in solidarity with farmers in Strasbourg, France. Today they protested in Wrocław, in front of the Lower Silesian provincial office. Hope dies last. We persevere. We will live in this Europe. Mercosur will pass, I think. Maybe it won't. But we as farmers must feed our society with healthy, good food, uncontaminated by genetics, chemicals, or antibiotics. The farmers marched in front of the European Parliament building. There, they handed over a special petition regarding the clarification of the legal basis and compliance with primary EU law of the decision to adopt the EU-Mercosur agreement by the Council of the European Union by a qualified majority. This is another large protest against the Mercosur agreement. Farmers are not giving up and are promising to fight to the end.
Exactly 1 year ago, Donald Trump was sworn in for his 2nd term. During that time, he has resolved many global conflicts and is now taking on another difficult challenge. Trump is creating a peace council, which will soon take over temporary control of the Gaza Strip. The idea behind this council is simply to create a broader body for consulting on international actions or decisions, and it is worth noting that such a body is currently lacking. This is the end of the bloody rule of Hamas terrorists who used ordinary people as human shields. Donald Trump wants peace in the Gaza Strip and invites world leaders to talks, including the presidents of Poland and France, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, the Chancellor of Germany, but also war criminal Vladimir Putin, his assistant Alexander Lukashenko, and the authorities of the Chinese Communist Party. The invitation to this broad table of both the Chinese Communist Party authorities and Vladimir Putin is in some way a response to a large group of critics who claim that this peace council is to be an exclusive exclusively American, Democratic, and pro-Western body. Of course, we cannot rule out that the invitations to China and Russia are intended as a response by the U.S., or rather by Donald Trump and the Republicans, to the current criticism of the actions of the United Nations and the desire to build a new international peace body that would somehow take over the function of the UN. Today, even criminal Russia has a strong voice in the UN, and the organization has no influence on the Kremlin's barbarism. Trump has been trying to stop Putin's crimes since the beginning of his term. He initiated negotiations during a meeting in Alaska, and he is trying again now. And yet it was the American leader who ended the war in the Gaza Strip. Trump should not be taken literally, but he should be taken seriously. It was the United States, not the UN, that led to the cessation of hostilities in the Gaza Strip, which is why Trump is establishing his own quasi-UN, replacing a dysfunctional organization with his typical pragmatic approach. This is what Trump is counting on by inviting a wide range of participants. The goal is, after all, peace, which is important to all of us in Ukraine, the Middle East, and other parts of the world. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will accept the Republicans' proposal and join the Peace Council, while French President Emmanuel Macron will most likely reject it. And how did Polish President Karol Nawrocki accept Donald Trump's invitation to the Peace Council? Here, in a conversation between the head of the presidential office and TV Republica, the key word is uttered. Calmly, the president approaches such initiatives with calmness, but also with consistency when it comes to diplomatic issues. Today, the president is in Davos and will remain there for the next few days. Karol Nawrocki has been invited, and from the point of view of Polish national interests, even if we don't like certain things, it is important to participate in such new formats that are intended to replace the UN. Poland has always taken the position that crimes and criminals must be held accountable, and it is worth reminding everyone of this at every forum, including the Peace Council. President Lech Kaczyński set an example in 2009. We were not in Munich, but its effect was a violation of the territorial integrity of Czechoslovakia, a violation of territorial integrity, which is always evil. It was then, it is now. This is not only a problem of totalitarianism, it is a problem of all imperial or neo-imperial tendencies. Imperialism must not be allowed to prevail. Imperialism and even neo-imperial tendencies must not be allowed to prevail. President Nawrocki will consider the proposal and make the best decision for Polish security. The president spoke with Prime Minister Donald Tusk. The president called the prime minister to discuss the initiative proposed by the Americans in the context of the letter the president received regarding the invitation to the Peace Council. The matter is so serious that it must be approached with a cool head and with full responsibility for the security of the Polish state. Polish President Karol Nawrocki, much like President Trump, treats security issues as a priority. The World Economic Forum is underway in Davos. Closed airspace, military patrols, armed officers and snipers on rooftops. Security in Davos is exceptionally tight this year. The focus is on global security, the war in Ukraine, tensions in almost every corner of the world, and the presence of key leaders have made Davos one of the most heavily guarded places in Europe. At the same time, some of the strongest words of this forum are being spoken in the conference rooms. European leaders warn that the European Union is under enormous pressure and is now at a political crossroads.
We're under a lot of pressure. We're 27 countries. And if you're under pressure, two things can happen. If you have outside pressure, you can come together or you can explode in any possible direction. And I think Europe is at a crossroads where it has to decide. Until now, we tried to appease the new president in the White House. We were very lenient, also with the tariffs. We were lenient, hoping to get his support for the Ukraine war. We are in a very bad position at the moment.
There is a lot of talk in Davos about Europe's difficult relations with the United States. Politicians emphasize that direct talks will be challenging, but at the same time, no one questions the key role of the U.S. for the security of the continent.
Look at the situation where we are. I mean, a shift towards autocracy against democracy, more violence, more than 60 wars in 2024, an absolute record. even if I understood a few of them were fixed. And conflict has become normalized, hybrid, expanding into new domains, space, digital, information, cyber, trade, and so on. It's as well a shift towards a world without rules, where international law is trampled underfoot, and where the only law that seems to matter is that of the strongest, and imperial ambitions are resurfacing.
The French president announces further diplomatic initiatives. In Davos, he proposes meetings between leaders after the forum, a signal that Europe wants dialogue and agreements, not escalation. The president was to send a message to Donald Trump with a proposal to meet and discuss issues key to relations. Everyone in Davos is waiting for one speech, Donald Trump's. For the first time since returning to the White House, he is to appear here in person, together with a large American delegation.
We had Donald Trump, President of the U.S., with us in Davos also last year, but virtually, because it was like 2 days after the inauguration. He's coming here, but he's also bringing 5 of his key secretaries, Secretary of State, but also Secretary of Treasury. So it's a long list. So there will be a broad American footprint.
Against the backdrop of transatlantic tensions, China is also presenting its position here. The deputy prime minister calls for free trade and warns against the consequences of tariff wars. Beijing is closely watching the European-American game. Trade and tariff wars have no winners. They raise costs, divide the global economy, and disrupt the global distribution of resources. At the same time, Ukraine remains one of the key topics in Davos. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has indicated that his presence at the forum depends on the finalization of agreements with the United States. He also leaves no doubt as to Moscow's intentions. If Russia really wanted to end the war, it would focus on diplomacy, not attacks and escalation. Pressure on the aggressor must be increased. In this context, a Polish delegation is also heading to Davos. Tomorrow, Polish President Karol Nawrocki is scheduled to give a speech on European security and defense. Poland's agenda in Davos today is to balance between Brussels and Washington, strengthening European defense capabilities while maintaining strong transatlantic relations, which remain the foundation of the region's security. Davos 2026 is a moment of truth for the West. It is here that the unity of Europe and its relations with the United States are being tested at a time when global security is no longer a given. The decisions made in Davos may set the direction for the coming years or show that the world is entering a new, more unpredictable phase.